All right, hold on a second. We need to remove whatever energy this is from my being.
Get out, energy. Get the fuck out of here. Energy, that's not it. Come on. Let's go. Leave.
I'm overstimulated. Expect the long-awaited abolition of my brain.
But if mentally we synchronize, despite what we despise, there's a chance that maybe I won't go insane. Hi, friends.
Hi, everyone.
Welcome to Mental Sync.
Welcome to Mental Sync. It's the only show where I'm so fucking sick. And
That's
Emily's all right.
Emily's all right. She's all right.
She's fine.
Don't worry about her.
I have the sniffles, and I apologize
John is
to
sad he has the
those
sniffles.
who are
Which
hearing
I would like to
sensitive.
point out that I really can't hear too much of a difference in... What did I say about the mug that you were going to be using on the podcast?
To only use the opera mug. But in my defense, I didn't wash it yet. It's in the sink. Because I used it yesterday, and I didn't wash it yet because I'm a bad boy.
I should just make us Mental Sync mugs and we can both sip like a talk show.
Don't threaten me with a good time.
I'll do that for us. That'll be my next step project.
Sorry, you'll just have to deal with this music mug. This is Keith's.
See, the reason I noticed it is because I like it, but it's not appropriate for the podcast. Oh, did you just burn yourself?
I dripped tea on my leg.
We're a mess. Anyway,
Anyways, how are you guys
I was
doing?
gonna say that you don't actually sound like too sick. So
good. That's good.
But
We'll
anyway,
wait till I go on a tangent and my voice just sounds like this the entire time. Hey guys, welcome to Mental Sync. We're gonna spin this wheel. We got a few options that you can see here. We got sleep, we got women, we got a bunch of other things that we might talk about today.
we might just talk about women.
We might talk about women. We might talk about
And just for some
love
context,
languages. Yeah.
when we were talking about what we were going to talk about in the episode, we were doing like a smash or pass for the for what we were going to do.
Smash or pass for each idea that we may talk about today.
Yeah, and I just thought it was really funny that when we got to women, we were both like, smash!
You gotta smash women. That's just the way it is.
Smash all the women.
No way around it. I would smash some sleep right now though, but
Yeah.
I don't have
Yeah,
a favorite
fair.
topic. Let's get into it. You
Spin
ready?
that
Here we go.
wheel so we
Spin
can
that wheel so we can find out all what we're gonna talk about. I'm so tired. Presenting/running meetings. Oh, I love that little.
Me too.
Congratulations. Here's your topic of the day.
I'm going to hang up on you now.
Okay, good night.
So let's talk about presenting and running
Let's talk
meetings.
about presenting and running meetings. Man, this was one of the topics that you brought up, so I don't know if you want to come in hot with...
Well, I would like to ask
take.
you how you feel about public speaking.
Oh, I have very mixed feelings. Despite... I feel like this surprises a lot of people, but I do have a lot of stage fright. I know. I have...
You?
I know. I have a lot of stage fright. And it's in a very strange middle ground where you've seen me like sing on stage and perform on stage, and it's in a middle ground where I get so stressed about performing to the extent where I will like black out a little bit and like and just kind of like robot my way through it. But it's okay enough where I have, as a way of working on it, continuously put myself purposefully in situations where I have to present on a stage. And it's been good for me, I think. But, man, it really depends on a lot of things. It depends on the stakes. It depends on the, if it's a show, if it's a play, that's the worst one for me. And it sucks because I love it. I love acting. I love theater. But I love rehearsals.
So what is it that makes it so nerve-wracking? Like, is it the people? Like, are you more concerned about people watching you, or are you more concerned about screwing up, or both? Or something different?
I think it's both quite honestly, like, it's hard to say. So and this is not presenting and running a meeting. This is completely different. Oh, hi, Carl.
Almost forgot about him.
So I don't know, when I'm okay, if it's theater, if I'm reciting lines, there's the added pressure of this is a narrative, I'm playing a character, and if I mess up, it disrupts the flow, and you can't really come back from that. And like, you can, but like, improv has to be in character, and it's just much more constricting conditions, I guess, as opposed to presenting something as myself, as John, where I can, like, if I mess something up, I can play it off like, aha, yeah, we're doing our thing here. Like, it's okay to take people out of it, because ultimately you want it to be more interesting, and a more casual approach can be more interesting. But when it's, so I think for me, it really depends on how seriously I have to take it. Mm-hmm. If I'm, if I was giving a presentation that would, like, I've never really been in a position at like a job where I've had to give a presentation. Those aren't the kind of jobs I work. If I had to do that, and like my boss was, I mean, like the closest example I can think of was preparing to ask one of my bosses for a raise. Mm-hmm. Which was just kind of an organized, I gathered my thoughts and I went in, and, the stakes were ultimately like, I have to take this seriously and I want to word it well. And I definitely like stammered my way through it.
And the reason I asked you about public speaking or like performing or whatever is just because I feel like that's right. Like, I can talk about corporate world and how I've worked. Are you okay?
Yes, sorry. My tea bag tag fell in the tea, and I was trying to very discreetly remove it, and now
the look
I'm realizing
on your face
that
was so concerned. I was like, "What's the matter?"
I'm realizing that it took 100% of my brain power to like.
You were like, couldn't tell if you were hurt or. Like,
emotionally, yes, because my tag fell in the tea, but physically, no.
Fair,
I'm okay.
Fair. Anywho,
sorry. Please continue.
Well, the reason I asked you about performing or just public speaking in general is because I feel like it's different. Like, I think I wanted to bring up this topic as, like, in your career or in what you're doing, how do you feel about being somebody who has to either take charge of something and, like, run a meeting, or who has to perform, or who has to speak to patients? Like, you have to be up, you are the one relaying information.
Oh, okay. So presenting, not necessarily in the strict, like
this is a PowerPoint.
This is a PowerPoint, but presenting the business side of you, or presenting presenting professionalism.
Yes.
Which I can relate to as like someone who has directed. So sure. Also comes back to how seriously do I have to take it. Where I've definitely been strongest is in areas where I can completely be myself and the stakes are low because I'm with my friends. When I was directing Writing in Pencil, the musical that I wrote with Keith and with Paolo, I mean, it was like, I was still nervous because I wasn't like super, super close with everyone there, like at the beginning of the process. Like, I made friendships in that. But, I definitely over prep. Well, I shouldn't say that. I definitely need to over prep to not feel anxious presenting.
Yeah.
When I don't over prep, I stammer through and I struggle. It's...
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if people view it that way. I don't know how apparent it is. But I don't know. It's hard to say. What are your thoughts? You tell me.
So I have a couple different thoughts, because I am someone who, if I'm confident about what I'm putting out there, like,
sure.
For example, like with my business, when I'm live streaming, oh man, I'm a different person. Like, you wouldn't even recognize me from the podcast. Like, you'd be like, who is this confident, like, successful businesswoman. Because I'm out here like, hey guys, this is a rock. Let me tell you about the rock. Let me tell you why you're going to buy the rock.
Oh.
Tell me why you're going to give me I'm going to tell you why you're going to give me your money. I'm going to tell you about why I'm passionate about it. And then I'm going to make some jokes.
Phones
we're all
are going
laugh,
off the hook.
and we're going to have so much fun. Because I've actually, like, had a lot of people comment on being like, oh, this is our favorite live. And, like, we really enjoy just the way you come off and the way you show everything, and it's, like, high quality compared to other streams. Like, I've seen people live streaming and trying to sell without, like, a light, like, good lighting.
Oh, my God.
And, like,
Amateurs.
I don't know anything about, like, and this is, like, not even what I've learned about, like, podcast lighting, right? Like, for, like, I mean, or video lighting for this. But, like, their room's dark and they're trying to show something off, right? Like, if I were to show you this rock right here from, like, this distance, maybe without the ring light, it'd be difficult to see. But when I put it closer to the light and I show you how
Whoa.
Wow, it's
so
different.
shiny. I'm going to buy 20 of those.
Like, all the little things. So, like, I really put a lot of time into learning how to, like, present my product and, like, market it and sell it, you know?
Yeah.
But if I'm a little bit, like... And I have to state that in that moment, what I've done, because I was very nervous, like, it didn't come naturally, right? It was, like, when I first started, I was like, oh, this is weird, like, I don't know how to keep people engaged the whole time, I don't know how to, like, put myself out there, and it took some time to get to how comfortable I am doing it now, but initially, I had to tell myself, this is mine, I am the boss, right? Like, nobody's going to get mad at me if I mess up. I can't really mess up what I'm doing because it's my standards and what I want. And nobody's going to, like, know what's going on in my head because I'm the one putting this out there and it's my idea. Like, it's not like, you know, it's not like I'm at work where I'm presenting to a bunch of doctors who have these, like, credentials and are very picky about, you know, just whatever. Or it's not like I can get some information wrong if I'm not, like, if I don't actually, like, know about a mineral, but I'm also the person who will tell you, like, I don't know what this is, but I thought it was cool and you might like it, type of a thing. Like, specific example. This one. I like this rock a lot.
Yeah. It's a good rock.
Which is why I bought it, but
It's a great
somebody...
rock.
Thanks. It's my little buddy. I will not put this on my website because I genuinely don't know what it is. And someone sold it to me as Afghanite, but it's not because I know what Afghanite is.
And
so,
it's not that.
No, Afghanite's like blue, like white and blue. And not even like spotted like this. So I was like bothered that they didn't know what it was, but I liked it, so I bought it, you know, type of a thing. I was like, I'm going to try to find it. Do you know how long I've been searching to find out what you are? I don't know what you are. Do you know how much time I spent on Google? But like when I put this on my live stream, I was like, hey guys, this is Phil. I don't know what Phil is.
This is Phil.
He is a mystery rock. And I hope you like him as much as I do. And he costs $46. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. So I'm not afraid in those circumstances to, like, admit, hey, I don't know what this is, but if you know what it is, can you tell me? Like, I'm very open and transparent about that. The more that I've gotten comfortable doing the podcast, I feel like I come off as pretty confident while we're doing this, but I feel like the first couple episodes, I was like, hi.
Well, because it's a different context of, like, when you're presenting your crystals, you're selling something, and that's that's a very clear focus. It's so hard to have the focus be entertaining.
Right.
Anytime someone says like, oh, be funny right now, I couldn't be a more boring, bland person in that moment. And it's just so interesting where, like, when the stage fright kicks in, because, I don't know, for me, I feel like... So going back to talking about preparing for a presentation, or whether it's acting or directing or whatever, in order to really feel good about it, I have to be good at it enough. And the same thing for when I was like singing in my a cappella group. I have to have it down enough where it's muscle memory. Because if it's something I have to consciously think about, I will not be capable. I will not be capable of doing it. And that's definitely still the case with like even like singing with a cappella, which is about as low stakes as it can get.
Right.
I don't know. It's so interesting. I've wanted to navigate it better for my whole life, but I just really freeze up when like, because it's like when all eyes are on me, like even in a room now, I find like if it's like a room with a lot of people and I have everyone's attention, then I get very like
yeah. I would like to pause you for a moment because it's 6:32.
It is 6:32. I was
you
gonna
need to add something to your crock pot.
Yeah, I'm gonna go do that. I will be as fast as I can.
Take your time.
I'm gonna run.
You're gonna have to edit this episode.
I know, man. If we're talking about, I mean, okay. So are we talking about presenting in like a social setting too,
John?
or is it?
John,
Emily,
where'd you go?
I'm right here. I haven't moved. Hello?
John.
Hello?
Oh my god, it's quiet.
Hello, I'm right here. I'm right here. You can't
there
hear
you
me?
are. Yeah, now I get it.
I mean, so are we talking about like social presenting at all? Because I feel like we've talked about that a little bit.
Yeah,
or do
and
you
I
more
mean,
so
I
mean
think,
like from a place of authority?
Well,
Is that
I guess,
kind of more what we're getting at?
I guess what I was thinking when I first brought it up was like, I guess being able to just present yourself, it could be socially, but it also could be like at work or like academically, just because of the anxieties that are around that.
Sure.
Because I've definitely had a lot of anxiety about presenting, and so getting over that has been a challenge for me. But I feel like the one place that I still struggle is if I have to present to people who are like people at work. So like a lot of the doctors that I work with, I'm always just nervous because I'm like, these people are so much smarter than me. Like, even if that's valid or not, but that's just how I feel. Like, I'm like, these people are better than me. Instantly walk into a room, I'm like, I am peasant. Like, I just have a really hard time, like, getting over. Well, then I'm afraid, like, what if I put something together incorrectly? Or what if it's wrong? Or what if, like, so I start to have those fears. Like, and the way that I've kind of gotten over that is, I just, like, I don't know, like, even in those situations are hard, but, like, what I do now is I typically, like, I let other people review what I'm presenting, or I'll, like, give out, like, I'll be like, here's what I plan on saying, what do you think, is there anything I should add, whatever, and that gives me a little bit of confidence back, because it allows me to hear, like, somebody else's point of view, because I feel like I also struggle, like, I could hear myself say something, and I'm like, that sounds great, and then someone else hears it, and they're like, no. Yeah. So I think being able to like collaborate with somebody has been helpful for me. But getting over the actual presenting part, like when I get up there and I'm like a little bit shaky or whatever, that still is something I definitely need to like just work on, and that just comes with time and confidence, I think. And I used to dance competitively in high school, and I never had a problem stepping on stage. But there was also, like, a confidence in that.
Oh, like, yeah, there's a lot of confidence that goes into that.
Like, I already, because I knew what I was doing, I knew how I was going to execute it, it was well-rehearsed, and that brings back to the point that you said of, like, once you rehearse something and you have it, like, down, to a T, you're like, all right, I got this, like, I can do this, I know I'm capable of this. And I would always get a little nervous before, like, right the second before I'd go on stage, I'd be like, oh my god, I forgot the whole dance, which isn't true, but, like, that moment of just, like, oh no. But that I got over pretty quickly. Like, that only lasted like a couple of times.
Why is it snowing in your room? What's happening?
What are you talking about?
There are the little white floofy things that you've commented on, that I've commented on, and just 2 more came down, and it looks like it's snowing in your room.
This has never happened before.
This has never happened.
I literally can't see anything in front of me either, so I don't know, like how sometimes when that happens you can see the dust?
I don't know. But yeah.
Anywho.
But yeah, it comes from, I think, a place of having a or not having a hard time taking yourself seriously, but the fear of being perceived that you are not aware of how you're coming across, right? So like the idea that, okay, I'm presenting this, and if I'm going to take myself seriously and present this seriously, I need to feel like it's the fear of like, what if other people don't take me seriously?
Yes.
Because number one, you're messing up, or you're saying something wrong, or whatever. Number two, it's even more embarrassing, I think, to feel like you're not in on it, which is why like so many people resort to comedy. I mean, it's so much easier to feel like you're in on the joke by like making fun of yourself. And so I feel like, and I don't think that's an inherently bad thing, but I feel like,
I do that.
The biggest, I mean, it's the easiest like go-to coping mechanism for stage fright. You know, they say
Or
like,
even
picture the audience in their underwear, but like where that comes from is like taking it much less seriously.
Yeah, and I think, like, that's the other thing that I noticed, too, just in general, not even about, like, presenting, but, like, presenting myself. If, like, let's say, like, I go into, like, when we were in high school, you know, you can't just, like, go home and change, right? Like, you can't, like, if you spill something on yourself, you have to stay at school.
I didn't understand. Like,
and,
I was like, well, you can
I know,
change
I'm
when
off
you get
my
home.
Adderall.
When you get home from school, you can't just, like, change.
No. When you when you're at school, like when you're actually at school, you know, it's not likely that you have a second pair of clothes and you can change. So if I'd ever spill something on myself or something was like wrong with my outfit, I would say it before anyone else could. I'd be like, I'd walk into the room and I'd be like, look at what I have on my shirt.
Look at this.
Like,
because
look what I did.
To be like, I am aware of this, because not being aware of it is just a second level of embarrassment.
Yeah, it definitely is. And so I think, like, especially with presenting at work, the biggest thing I've learned is just to kind of go into it like confidently, because obviously I wouldn't have my job if I didn't have a degree that allowed me to understand and do my job.
Right.
In my case, at least. I mean, most of the time, I feel like 90% of the people who have any sort of a job out there know about their job, you know, so they know how to like do it in some way, shape, or form, you know.
Sure.
Yeah, you know what I'm trying to say.
That. I do know what you're trying to say, and I think you're saying the right thing. I've come to learn kind of the opposite, but in a good way for those of you presenting, which is that you can walk into a room of people who have been in whatever office or job you're in for 10 years longer than you, and they really may not be any more capable than you.
Right. And what I mean more specifically is like most of the time when you're in a certain position, you at least know your job, right? Like you know that what you're Yeah. So I'm saying it on more of like a minuscule like level. I've gotten to where I am because I know that I'm competent to at least have the skills I need to relay the information.
Sure.
And I think that was always a big worry, not necessarily presenting now. I mean, it's still a worry when I'm presenting now, but I mean, another way I've like had to get over an anxiety about presenting information is when I was working in the emergency department, because I'd be relaying messages from doctors and I'd have to go in, and nothing serious, but you know, like oh hey, like we have to take you up to this place because, and then there's all that medical terminology, right? It's like, because this bone might be broken and we have to, like, they already know this, but you still have to communicate what's going on, right? Yeah. Or when somebody asks you a question about a patient, right? Like a doctor comes up to you, oh, when was the last time this happened? When was the last time they did this? Do you know if this? And you're just like, no. Like, but even though it's not the truth, you usually know. Sure. It's just like in the moment you're like, oh, fuck, like I wasn't prepared, and I had a lot of anxiety doing that, because I was always just worried that if I said something and it wasn't like right in like the way that they perceive what I'm trying to say, that I'd be in trouble or they'd look at me differently, and
or
so there's
like fuck something up. So I've had a lot of career pressured like ways of presenting information that have been just anxiety inducing. Yeah.
And
in talking about like coping mechanisms, like ways to, you know, ways to deal with the pressure, rather. Humor is obviously the go-to one, but, and I'm sure you agree with this, a lot of the time that starts to lean into like self-deprecating humor, where you start setting the bar extra low so that you can't miss, and you're just like, oh, I don't even know what this is. I'm not even good at this, and like, oh, I'm totally unprepared. And performers do that all the time. I do that constantly.
I mean, I do it too.
Yeah, it's so hard not to, but like it comes from such a place of anxiety. So like, how do you walk that line between like using a little bit of humor and like not taking things super seriously in order to present better, versus like devaluing yourself? And because at this point I find that annoying. If I'm going to see someone perform and they're like, oh, like this isn't very good, but here you go, I'm immediately like, ugh, like don't do that. Don't, it doesn't come across as well as it feels like it does,
right?
When you're doing it.
Because you're more so like, if you're because what they're doing is they're trying to say like, if you're disappointed, just know that I already know it was disappointing.
Yeah, like,
but most
I'm
of
setting
the time,
the bar low so that you hopefully won't be disappointed.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think a big thing for me and the way that I've handled not targeting myself is by, and I'm not perfect, but one of the ways that I've done it in the past is by doing it and comparing it to a situation that is like from a TV show or something where it's like, have you ever seen New Girl? Remember that episode where blah, 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 blah? That's how I feel right now. Or be like, this might turn out like that, where it's not like, oh, I suck and I'm not good at this, so don't expect anything.
See, because that's good actually. There's a huge difference between like being like, oh, like this isn't even good, which like feels also performative, as opposed to like honesty of like, in a relatable sense, kind of being more so like, I don't know, just acknowledging like, oh, and because I love talking in front of everyone, I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to navigate that specific situation, but it does ultimately come back to, I think, being okay, and I say this hypocritically because I'm not good at it, but learning to get better at rejection, dealing with rejection and dealing with judgment and the prospect of others rejecting you being worth less.
Yeah.
Because,
I think...
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm cutting you off because I'm off my Adderall, clearly.
Me too.
And I just did it to myself, right? Like, I literally, in this moment, just was like, oh, I'm terrible because I'm not taking my Adderall.
Get the fuck out of here.
But, and that's just an insecurity. And I think it all comes down to being insecure about it, as we've already said, that this is most of the time coming from a place of anxiety. And I think that a big thing to remember when you're having these moments of self, I don't know, I guess it's even a little bit of doubt, right? Because it comes from not only a place of anxiety, but it also comes from a place of like doubting yourself, like that you can't perform, to the extent that you wanted to, or present or whatever, and I think a good way to start is to stop making it seem as if you're targeting, like personally targeting, I messed this up and so therefore it's going to be bad, and instead doing something similar, it's little, by saying, oh, well, I'm nervous about this because I don't really like public speaking, or you know what I mean, or trying to just flip the switch from being, oh, I'm terrible, like this is going to be terrible because I can't do this, right, to being like, I'm a little nervous about this because I'm really anxious when it comes to this. So instead of like putting yourself down, being able to just communicate the emotion in that moment. I'm worried about
working on like the honesty, and also like being forgiving to yourself and
Yes.
recognizing that it is not this rare, unheard of thing that you don't like speaking in front of people. In fact,
Right.
most people deal with that. And if people can't, like, easier said than done, but, like, if people can't relate to that, like, fuck them. Like,
Right,
that's
right.
stupid.
And I actually have a tiny bit of an example. Recently I got an award for work, and they didn't tell me that I would need to say something, like speak when I got up there. And I didn't prepare anything, but it wasn't anything serious. It wasn't like you had to say something that was like 5 minutes long
Sure,
or
but
whatever.
it
It was
was-
just like do you have something to say about this? And the award I specifically got was for just creating like a better work environment for people. Like somebody nominated me for being just a
you raise it up and you
nice
just go,
person.
hey, you're welcome.
Well, you know what? Well, you know what happened was they called me up, and then I was the first one too. There was a couple people who also got the award, but of course I happened to be the.
Do you see that?
I
You
saw-
saw the snow. You saw the snow. That was the snow. There was the snow. It
There's
flew right
so
in front of
many
your
of
face. It flew
That
right
was
in front of your face.
crazy.
It's snowing. It's snowing. What is it? You see it?
Like, what is it?
What is
feel like
it? Where is it? Is it in front of you? It's got to be in front of you. It went in front of your face. Anyways.
Man, that
your
was a lot,
prisoners-
too, all at
that
once,
wa-
whatever that
hey,
was. There was, like,
you
12 of 'em.
It was that moment where we both locked eyes and knew that we'd both seen it.
I'm gonna have to get my sage. Maybe it's a bunch of spirits. You're gonna have
A
to...
bunch of spirits are
A bunch of
all
'em.
up and around.
but yeah, so-
a few people got the award.
Yeah, so I get up on stage, and it's not even a stage. I don't know why I said that. It's just the
Yeah.
front of the room, but it felt like in the moment.
The
stage.
metaphorical stage.
Yeah, and he's like, "Oh, the president of the hospital was like, oh, do you want to say something about this?" And I took the
Can't say
microphone
no.
from him and was like, "So this makes me nervous, but I really appreciate it." Like I acknowledge that
Nice, yeah.
this whole speaking thing makes me nervous, and people chuckled, right? Because
Yeah,
it's relatable.
that's
People
great.
know. Yeah, and then I was
Because you're
able to.
not saying that you're not good at it. You're not devaluing yourself. You're just like, whew. Like,
This makes me a little nervous.
This makes me
like,
nervous.
And people chuckled at it, and then that made me feel better because it almost relaxed that tension
Yeah,
in the room
definitely.
that wasn't there, that I was putting in the room. Like all these other people are sitting there like, "Oh, nice, I'm glad, like proud of you,"
Yeah.
But I'm up here like, what do I say? Like, thank you for thinking I'm great. So I just got up there and was like, I'm a little nervous. Wasn't expecting to say anything, and then went on. And yeah, so that's how I've coped with it recently. Actually, this happened a couple of weeks ago. So
Man. That's great.
yeah,
That's very good.
And even with presenting, I get nervous. I also I feel like I can handle myself better when I'm looking at people, because I can almost gauge how they're feeling, not like fully, but you can read faces and body language, and you kind of know what people are feeling. And when I do in-person meetings, when I'm running a meeting at work, I've gotten to a point where I'm a little bit more confident now, because I've also
Interesting.
done it X amount of times and whatever. But when we're presenting, and for whatever reason, when it's over Zoom and there's no one's on camera or whatever, and I'm sitting there and I'm just, I don't know how to do this. As if I don't do, you would think it'd be the opposite, but it's almost as if not having a reaction from people is worse in
No.
my mind.
I do hear that. I that makes sense to me. I'm not good. Eye contact makes me anxious.
Me too.
I'm trying to
Me
get.
too.
I'm trying to get better at it. But if I'm speaking like on a literal stage to an audience, I kind of just in general look at everyone.
You actually just reminded me of a tip someone gave me in high
Please.
school, and I can't remember what it is, but they said when they first started, no, I can't remember who it is.
Oh,
I can't remember who it was who said that.
I was like, you just reminded me of a tip, and I can't remember it. Anyways,
No, it was a
moving
who.
on.
So you just reminded me of a tip that some teacher in high school gave me.
Sure.
And they said that when they first started teaching, they were so nervous to make eye contact. So what they did while they were standing up there teaching is they looked at the top, like everybody's foreheads.
Yeah.
So they weren't locking eyes, but people thought that they were looking at them when in reality she was looking at their forehead,
Interesting.
And
It wasn't shot in the dark. It wasn't
Should I say a name on the podcast? Is that...
Well, we can cut that out.
You can cut that out. It wasn't... Was it?
I think it is. I think it was.
Oh my god, it sounded like such a thing. It's just an English teacher that I also had.
Anywho,
man, presenting, running meetings, Emily, what'd we learn about it?
we learned that when you're anxious about presenting a meeting...
Oh, there's only one thing you can do.
Pet some dogs.
Exit the building and find a dog and pet it.
Or bring a dog
Immediately
into your
step
meeting.
one. Or bring a dog into your meeting so that you can walk away, pet the dog, and then go find the flaw.
That's
Tell
the
me
one.
the flaw.
There's no
That's
flaw.
number one.
Zero flaws. 2,
Look at people's foreheads.
Yes,
If eye
there you
contact
go.
is tough, look at people's foreheads.
Yeah.
What else? I don't know. Believe in yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You're fine, man. You're doing great. And you know what?
We
Messing
love
up
you.
and giving a bad presentation is just... Sometimes it happens, but it's just the stakes aren't as high as it feels. They're not.
Yeah.
They're not as high as it feels. It's okay. No one has ever given only perfect presentations. It's okay. It's all good. You're doing great.
We love you.
Love you.
We love you so much.
We love you so stinking much.
so much, it's ridiculous.
Oh my fucking god, we love you.
We just have so much love for you. Like, all the love in the world is just for you.
For you.
Yep.
Yeah. I think that's it. Did we do it?
We did it.
Is that the end?
That's the end.
All right. Thanks for listening.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye. See you next time on Mental Sync.
Cool. Okay, are we happy?